This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Welcome to Kansas, gateway to...
Sometimes, in order to understand our own story, we have to go beyond our borders. Kansas has had a rather profound relationship with each of its neighbors. Sometimes it's contentious, as is mostly the case with Missouri to the east, i.e., the Kansas-Missouri border war. With our neighbor to the north, well, Kansas was born along with Nebraska, so the relationship has mostly been that of siblings, going their own way, but with common bonds. Our neighbor to the south, Oklahoma, was the Indian nations, or the Indian Territory, where so many native tribes were relocated. For many years, the border between Kansas and Oklahoma was ignored unless one was trying to escape jurisdiction. In fact, with relatives in the Indian Territory, our Senator Charles Curtis had a keen interest in affairs in Oklahoma, the territory, and later the state. He was often called, whether as a compliment or derisively, the third senator from Oklahoma. Colorado, for a time, was ours. At least part of it was. When the territory was created, the western border was the Continental Divide. Denver was named for the Kansas territorial governor, James Denver. Fort Leavenworth was, and is, one of the most important posts in the country. Its commanders controlled much of the West. When Colonel E.V. Sumner commanded the historic post, he created Fort Union in the New Mexico Territory, a post that would become one of the most important on the Santa Fe Trail. The trails that crisscrossed Kansas led to and from our sister states. The Santa Fe Road, the California and Oregon roads, the military roads, the Pony Express, and later the cattle trails, they all connected us, and still do. We have been marking so many anniversaries, territorial anniversaries, statehood, the Chisholm Trail a couple of years ago, and now we are planning the 200th anniversary of the Santa Fe Trail. This creates the opportunity for collaboration and cooperation between the sites in Kansas and our sister states, as we all promote one another in telling our story, our very interconnected story. So we are encouraging you to leave Kansas, not for long, mind you, but long enough to visit sites like Bent's Old Fort near La Junta, Colorado. This is simply one of the best sites in the national park system and has so many Kansas ties that I cannot list them all here. Among the interpreters there is John Carson, descendant of the legendary scout Kit Carson. John is a dead ringer for his great-grandfather and often does first-person presentations as Kit. Visit them on Facebook or find their website. They have lots of events throughout the year, most ideal for kids. On the other end of the trail is Independence, Missouri, where the National Trails Museum tells the story of how 3 major westward trails started right there. Just across the street, the Bingham Wagner Estate was home to one of America's most famous artists, George Caleb Bingham. I have many friends in the neighborhood, and I know how hard they work at sharing a very rich history. When you travel across the border, whether following the map of the Santa Fe Trail or one of the other historic trails, take along brochures and information from your Kansas hometown. Take the time to chat about the things we have in common, about the ways we can build audience, get folks interested and involved as we mark these significant anniversaries. This is a great window of opportunity for all of us to expand our audiences past our borders. Wherever your travel takes you, let our neighbors know how much is going on around Kansas. If we can get them here, we can keep them coming back.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamandkansas.com.